Happiness is not an accident. It's not a prize waiting at the end of a perfect day, nor a gift granted by someone's approval. Happiness is a choice, a deliberate, conscious decision to align your inner world with peace, gratitude, and strength, even when life feels heavy and uncertain. The truth is, your body, your mind, and your emotions are all listening, every single moment, to the story you tell yourself. Each thought, each interpretation, each reaction becomes a signal that shapes your chemistry, your energy, and your experience of life. When you choose to rise above the noise and the stress, the fear, the doubt, you begin to rewire your brain, recalibrate your energy, and open yourself to a joy that is not dependent on circumstances, but anchored in awareness. Because happiness isn't the result of things going right. It's the power that helps you rise, even when things go wrong. Most people live as if happiness must be earned, waiting for life to hand them a reason to smile. When I get the promotion, when I find the right person, when things finally calm down, they postpone joy for a future that never arrives, handing over their power to conditions they can't control. But life doesn't wait for perfect timing, and neither should your happiness. If you tie your peace to external events, your emotions will forever rise and fall with the tides of circumstance. But when you truly decide that happiness comes from within, you stop being a reactor and start becoming a creator. Imagine waking up in the morning before the world claims your attention. Before the messages, the news, the noise, you pause and ask yourself, how do I choose to feel today? What energy will I bring into this day? That single question changes everything, because in that moment you reclaim authorship over your inner state. Your brain doesn't need permission to feel joy. Your body doesn't need proof that life is good before it allows peace to flow. You can generate the chemistry of happiness from within through intention, focus, and repetition. This isn't about denying reality. It's about mastering it. It's about understanding that your interpretation of events is far more powerful than the events themselves. Two people can face the same storm. One collapses in fear, the other stands tall with faith. The difference isn't the storm, it's the story they tell themselves while standing in it. When you choose happiness, you reclaim your energy from the chaos and hand it back to your consciousness, the one place it always belonged. Neuroscience now confirms what spiritual masters have known for centuries. Your brain is not fixed. It's constantly rewiring itself in response to your thoughts, emotions, and focus. Every time you choose to wait for something external to make you happy, you reinforce patterns of dependency and powerlessness. But each time you choose happiness despite circumstances, you carve a new pathway of resilience, safety, and empowerment in your brain. Over time, your nervous system learns that peace is safe, that joy is your natural state. You train your mind to expect good, to create good, and to radiate good. We've been conditioned to be reactors. A compliment lifts us, a criticism crushes us, a victory energizes us, a setback defeats us. But emotions are not reflexes. They are choices, subtle, moment-by-moment decisions about how we will interpret and respond to the world. And when we begin to master that choice, and when we stop waiting and start creating, we step into the highest form of freedom available to us as human beings. The freedom to be happy by choice, not by chance. The moment you shift from reacting to creating, everything changes. You begin to see that no one outside of you holds the keys to your emotional state. You do. You always have. Choosing happiness is not about denial. It's about discipline. It's a daily practice, much like training a muscle that's long been ignored. At first, it feels unnatural because the brain is wired to notice what's wrong before it notices what's right, a survival mechanism from a different time. But with repetition, That choice to return to joy becomes your new default. Each time you decide to feel grateful, to find peace in the midst of chaos, to smile even when you could frown, you're rewiring your brain. You're strengthening the neural pathways that make joy familiar and struggle optional. You stop waiting for reasons to be happy. You start generating them. You stop searching for validation in others. You begin to draw from an endless inner well of peace, confidence, and gratitude. That's why choosing happiness, especially when it's hardest, is an act of rebellion. It's how you reclaim authorship of your inner world. It's how you remind your subconscious, I am not a victim of life. I am its creator. From this vantage point, challenges still appear, but they lose their grip. The storm may rage around you, yet your mind remains a sanctuary. You no longer let outer chaos dictate inner peace. Each morning when you wake and choose gratitude, when you focus on what's working instead of what's broken, you send a message to your entire being. I decide how I feel today. And with practice, that decision becomes effortless, your natural state. Most people believe their emotions are automatic, direct results of their circumstances. But that's an illusion. It's not the event that creates emotion. It's the meaning you assign to it. Your mind is a master filter, receiving millions of bits of information every second, but selecting only a fraction to focus on. What you choose to notice and how you interpret it determines how you feel. Wake up and think, today is going to be stressful, and your body obeys. It tightens, releases stress hormones, and prepares for tension. But wake up and say, today is another chance to grow, connect, and create. And your physiology shifts instantly. Your body produces serotonin and dopamine. Your muscles relax. Your energy lightens. The day itself hasn't changed, but you have. The chemistry of your emotions follows the chemistry of your thoughts. Neuroscience reveals that most of your daily thoughts are identical to the ones you had yesterday. If those thoughts are negative, self-critical, or fearful, they produce the same emotional patterns day after day until life begins to feel like a loop. But the cycle breaks the moment you become aware. Awareness is the power switch. When you observe your thoughts instead of believing them, you create space for choice. You can redirect the narrative toward empowerment, peace, or gratitude. Consider this. Two people sit in the same traffic. One curses the delay, sinking into frustration. The other turns on music, takes deep breaths, and uses the time to think. The situation is identical, yet their inner experiences are worlds apart. The difference isn't circumstance, it's perception. This means you are never truly trapped by emotion. Even the most intense feelings are not permanent realities. They are energy shaped by thought. Change the thought, and the emotion must follow. Choosing new thoughts doesn't mean suppressing pain or pretending everything's fine. It means looking at life through a higher lens, one that empowers rather than weakens. With consistent practice, your brain begins to favor these new mental pathways. Positivity becomes not just a mindset, but a reflex. The connection between thought and body is profound. Imagine biting into a lemon. Your mouth salivates instantly. The lemon doesn't exist, yet your body reacts as if it does. That's the power of thought. If one imagined image can alter your biology, imagine the effect of the thousands of thoughts you think each day. When you dwell on stress, your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. When you dwell on gratitude, you release serotonin and dopamine, the chemistry of happiness. Over time, these chemical patterns sculpt your emotional baseline. Your thoughts are commands, and your body listens with feeling. Repeat certain thoughts long enough, and the emotions they create become familiar. So familiar, they start to feel like you. But they're not you. They're just programs, and you are the one who can rewrite them. Remember, You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that chooses them. You are not a reactor to life. You are its creator. And the more you practice choosing joy, peace, and gratitude, the more your life begins to reflect that inner mastery. You might find yourself saying, I'm just an anxious person, or I've always been unhappy. But these are not fixed truths. They're practice patterns, memorized through repetition until they feel like identity. The good news is, what was once programmed can be rewritten. The moment you shift the language of your inner dialogue, you begin to direct a new emotional performance. This is where practices like mindfulness, visualization, and affirmations become revolutionary. They are not cliches, they are neurological tools. They help you interrupt unconscious thought loops and replace them with deliberate, empowering ones. Each time you move from fear to trust, from lack to gratitude, your biology shifts with you. Your brain's chemistry reorganizes in real time to reflect your new state of being. This isn't magic. It's neurobiology responding to the commands of consciousness. Gratitude, in particular, is one of the most powerful agents of transformation. It doesn't just make you feel better, it rewires your brain toward joy, resilience, and inner peace. Many people see gratitude as simple politeness, a brief thank you when life goes their way. But true gratitude is much deeper. It's a conscious decision to anchor your awareness in what is working, what is beautiful, and what is here, even when challenges are loud. Neuroscience reveals that the human brain carries a built-in negativity bias, an ancient survival mechanism that kept our ancestors alive by constantly scanning for threats. In modern life, however, that same mechanism can keep us trapped in cycles of anxiety, scarcity, and discontent. Gratitude disrupts that pattern. Each time you intentionally focus on something you appreciate, you are retraining your brain to dwell on what uplifts you instead of what depletes you. Over time, this repeated attention carves new neural pathways, channels of peace and joy that replace the grooves of fear and worry. Think of it like water shaping rock. When your thoughts flow in the same direction long enough, they sculpt your inner landscape. Gratitude ensures that the channels you carve lead toward light, not darkness. Brain imaging studies have shown that gratitude activates the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and creative thinking, and triggers dopamine release, your brain's natural reward chemical. Each moment of gratitude literally rewards your brain for noticing the good, reinforcing the habit of joy. It becomes a self-sustaining cycle of positivity. But gratitude doesn't only transform the mind, it transforms the body. When you are grateful, stress hormones like cortisol decline. Serotonin and dopamine rise. Your heart rate steadies, your muscles relax, and your immune system strengthens. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel peaceful. It creates a biological environment that supports healing, balance, and long-term happiness. The true power of gratitude lies in its ability to shift focus from what's missing to what's already present. The mind can always find something wrong, but it can just as easily find something right. When you begin to notice the small gifts, a warm meal, the sound of rain, the laughter of a friend, you awaken to the truth that life is overflowing with blessings. Challenges may remain, but they no longer define the entire picture. Gratitude expands your perspective until difficulty is framed by appreciation, and pain is softened by awareness of what still sustains you. Many people wait for something monumental before they allow themselves to feel grateful. But the real miracle is found in the ordinary. The stressed mind constantly searches for the extraordinary moment that will make everything better. Gratitude teaches you that the extraordinary is already here, hidden in the ordinary details of everyday life. a kind glance, the warmth of sunlight, the comfort of your own breath. When you honor these simple gifts, you stop chasing happiness and start living in it. This is why practices like gratitude journaling are so effective. Writing down even 3 things you're thankful for each day isn't about the list. It's about the consistent redirection of attention. Each entry tells your brain, look for the good, and over time it listens. The mind, once trained to scan for problems, begins to instinctively search for blessings. What you rehearse mentally becomes who you are emotionally. Gratitude also deepens human connection. When you express appreciation to others, you not only uplift them, you strengthen the invisible bonds between you. Gratitude releases oxytocin, the hormone of trust and belonging, creating a ripple effect of warmth and mutual care. The more you express gratitude, the more love you circulate, and that love inevitably finds its way back to you. In the end, happiness is rarely the result of a single dramatic event. It is the accumulation of small, intentional choices made every day. The decision to focus on what is beautiful instead of what is broken, to see possibility where once you saw pain, and to let gratitude become your way of seeing the world. Because gratitude doesn't just change how you feel, it changes who you become. So many people believe that happiness lies somewhere out there, waiting to be unlocked once they land the perfect job, meet the ideal partner, or reach a long-awaited milestone. They chase joy as if it's a grand prize reserved for special moments. But real happiness doesn't erupt from monumental events. It is cultivated quietly in the ordinary rhythm of your days, in the seemingly insignificant choices you make again and again. Each decision, thought, and habit is like a single drop of water falling into a bucket. One drop makes no visible difference, but over time the drops gather and eventually the bucket overflows. That is how your emotional world is formed, drop by drop, choice by choice. The way you speak to yourself, the tone of your inner dialogue, how you spend your time, what you choose to focus on, the energy you offer to others. All of these are daily votes for the kind of life you are creating. A single negative thought won't destroy you, just as one positive moment won't instantly transform you, but repetition compounds. Over time, your repeated patterns carve grooves in your mind, shaping your baseline of peace, resilience, and joy. Take your mornings, for example. If you begin each day by reaching for your phone, scrolling through news, and letting stress flood your system before your feet even touch the ground, you train your brain to awaken in chaos. But if you take even 5 quiet minutes to breathe, to express gratitude, or to set an intention, you begin wiring your mind for calm and clarity. That tiny shift, repeated daily, rewires your emotional foundation. The same principle applies to how you speak to yourself in hard times. When you face setbacks, your inner voice can either wound you or empower you. You can say, "I'm failing. I can't do this. Nothing ever works out." Or you can breathe and choose, "This is difficult, but I'm learning. I've overcome before, and I will again." That simple act of reframing is a seed of resilience. Repeated often enough, it becomes instinct, your default orientation toward growth rather than defeat. Your attention, too, is a creative force. Every moment you decide what to amplify, what's missing, or what's already here. If your focus is consumed by comparison, lack, or fear of the future, you condition your mind to dwell in dissatisfaction. But when you redirect your awareness to small victories, moments of beauty, and things you're grateful for, you reprogram your brain to experience abundance. It's not the magnitude of gratitude that transforms you, it's the consistency. A few seconds of genuine appreciation, practiced often, can turn a life that feels empty into one that feels full. The same truth applies to relationships. Connection thrives not through grand declarations, but through daily choices of presence and care, listening deeply, offering patience when irritation arises, expressing gratitude when silence would be easier, choosing kindness when you are tired, forgiving when resentment tempts you. These small, consistent gestures are the bricks that build a foundation of trust, love, and belonging. Science supports this truth. Repetition shapes identity. What you practice, you become. If you practice criticism, negativity becomes your nature. If you practice appreciation, optimism becomes effortless. The compounding effect of your daily mental habits literally reshapes your brain, and with it, your emotional reality. Happiness, then, is not a distant summit to be reached. It is the byproduct of the thoughts you nurture, the energy you embody, and the choices you make, moment to moment, day by day. And resilience? It grows when you choose joy, especially in hardship. It's easy to feel grateful when life unfolds smoothly, but your true strength reveals itself when the path darkens, when uncertainty, pain, or loss test your foundation. In those moments, happiness is no longer about circumstance. It becomes a conscious act of courage. Choosing joy doesn't mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It means refusing to let hardship define the entirety of your emotional world. When challenges arise, most people spiral into fear, anger, or despair. Their thoughts loop, "Why me? What if this never changes? How will I survive this?" The body follows. Stress hormones surge, tension builds, reactivity heightens. The cycle feeds itself. But resilience begins the moment you pause. When you take a conscious breath and direct your focus, even for a few seconds, towards something that sparks warmth, gratitude, or beauty, you interrupt the pattern of stress. That single act is not denial. It is reclamation. It is the moment you remember that even amid chaos, peace is still possible. Joy in hardship is not a mask. It is medicine. It reminds your nervous system that you are safe to hope again. And every time you choose that perspective, you strengthen your emotional endurance. So let this truth settle in your heart. Your happiness is not waiting for you in some distant milestone. It is being built right now, in the quiet decisions you make, the thoughts you choose to believe, and the moments you decide to return to gratitude. Joy is not a destination. It is a daily practice of presence. When you choose joy in the midst of struggle, you send a powerful signal to your brain and body. I am not defined by this challenge. I still hold the pen of my own story. That single choice reclaims your power. It shifts your energy from reaction to creation, and that shift builds resilience. Each time you choose joy, you are teaching your brain that challenge does not mean collapse. It means growth. Resilience is like a muscle. It strengthens only through resistance. Every trial you face and meet with hope, gratitude, or laughter becomes a weight you lift. The more you lift, the more capable you become. Those who radiate calm in chaos are rarely strangers to pain. They are masters of perspective. They've learned that joy is not denial, it's fuel. They choose to look toward light, not because darkness isn't there, but because they know that joy expands what pain tries to contract. Science agrees. Positive emotions open the brain's capacity to perceive new solutions, while fear and anger narrow focus to mere survival. Even a moment of gratitude or a breath of hope releases neurotransmitters that expand creativity and problem solving. Choosing joy isn't about escaping pain. It's about upgrading your mind's ability to move through it. True resilience isn't the absence of pain, it's the presence of balance. It's the ability to hold sorrow in one hand and gratitude in the other without losing your center. It's the art of bending without breaking, feeling deeply without drowning. Small daily choices strengthen this balance. A quiet walk, a shared laugh, a deep breath that reminds you, you are still here. Each moment of joy becomes an anchor in the storm, proof that light exists even in fragments. Over time, those fragments form the unbreakable structure of inner strength. Happiness is not a destination you stumble upon. It's a state of being you choose to practice now. Most people wake up as echoes of their past. They replay yesterday's pain, recycle yesterday's emotions, and unconsciously recreate the same reality. Their thoughts are tethered to memory, and their emotions keep that memory alive. But transformation begins when you stop rehearsing your history and start embodying your future. When you vividly imagine the version of yourself who already lives with joy, peace, and confidence, your brain begins to rewire itself in that direction. It doesn't know the difference between a deeply imagined experience and a lived one. It simply follows the signal you give it. Visualization, then, is not fantasy, it's instruction. You are teaching your nervous system how to feel before the future arrives. Each choice becomes a declaration, this is who I am becoming. When faced with negativity, ask, what would my future self choose? Would they react or respond, procrastinate or take aligned action? Every conscious decision sends a message to your brain. I am already that person. Living in alignment with your future self is not pretending challenges don't exist. It's refusing to let them define your identity. You are not your past. You are the consciousness that chooses what comes next. And as you embody that higher emotional frequency, joy, love, gratitude, your biology follows. Stress chemistry gives way to healing chemistry. Your body begins to believe the future has already arrived. You become a living match to the energy of your vision. Imagine your future self as a frequency of joy, and your present self as the receiver. The moment you tune your emotions to that same signal, you come into resonance with your potential. Your thoughts align, your choices align, and life begins to flow in the direction of your evolution. Happiness becomes both the path and the destination. When you live joyfully now, you are collapsing the distance between who you are and who you are becoming. The future you dream of is not waiting for you. It is being built through every moment you choose to feel aligned, peaceful, and free. Each time you choose joy in the present, you draw your future closer, until one day you realize you have become it.